following video was rated TV-14.
Hienatoons, surrender to the guards.
What the? What?
With this infraction, you will be sent to Belle Reeve, and in there I want you to save another gifted teen named Polus Bertinson, also known as Polarbert.
Fine. Walter, don't worry. Escape from this place and we will meet next month. I promise. Fine, Warren. Thanks for saving me, Hyena. Well, rejected Lion King Hyena dressed like a superhero. Be ready for a trip to Belle Reeve. We're sending that furry ass there. This place sucks. Why is liberating someone who did nothing wrong from my laboratories considered a crime? I hope I'm not sent to the creature commandos. Fuck that show. That show indeed. Hi, I'm Polarbert, by the way. Hienatoons, and I was forced here to save you. Like a super secret mission? Because I'm not a spy movie fan. Really? Not even Spy Kids? Oh, those two films are trash. Yeah, the fourth and fifth film are fucking trash, but the original trilogy was amazing and became my favorite trilogy as a kid. Pardon me, but I never watched the original trilogy. Tell me about it. Alright, here goes nothing. Our story begins with the Cortez family, whose members are Gregorio and Ingrid Cortez, and their two kids, Carmen and Juni Cortez. Both parents hide to their kids about their old lives as spies, while the kids hide from them their secrets, like Carmen always being absent from school, and that Juni doesn't have friends because everyone mocks him for being a fan of this show called Fuglis, or something like that. Anyway, the parents go back in action after the recent disappearance of Agent Donegan Giggle. Both are captured and trapped by Floop, the host of Juni's favorite show. Thanks to a conversation he had early with a man named Lisp, we know he wants an army, and so he is determined to use robots with the appearance of the children of the most important people of the world to beat his Spy Kids. I like that name. God, I hate that meme. Anyway, while the kids stay with their Uncle Felix, Floop's robotic Tombots went to attack the house, but Felix helped them escape and makes a plot twist that blew my mind. Let me guess, Felix is working for Floop? No. He isn't the kid's uncle. Oh, the kids successfully escaped, now aware their parents were spies, and at the secret bunker they find many gadgets used by other spies, including some jetpacks, money of every country, special analytic glasses, a small book, dehydrated McDonald's, and that one thing that Floop needs, the third brain that can make the robots more smarter. Sadly, they are interrupted by the visit of a group of spies along a woman named Gordenko. The lady is obviously trying to manipulate the kids into giving them the brains, but she gives us the information that, despite being revealed earlier, is important to know. Floop kidnapped 4 agents, and with technology turned them into Fuglis for his show. The kids realize that the woman isn't trying to help them, so they escape with the jetpacks as well as burning that woman's hair. Damn, she got bald like the Nova. I know, like Super Ball, she could be like Luthor's girlfriend. After escaping, Floop gets stressed because he thinks his show lacks something. His assistant Minion sends 2 robot replicas of Carmen and Juni, who manage to snatch the third brain of both kids. Without the brain, the two decide to go visit the inventor of the spice gadgets, Machete. Wait, is that Danny Trejo? Yes, he is played by him. Machete is not only the real uncle of the kids, but has a hard relationship with his brother Gregorio due to him selling weapons to enemies. He doesn't want to help at all, so the kids take some of his gadgets and a special plane he built and escape. While this, we notice something. Minion was the real mastermind of the Spy Kid robots, and Floop was never interested on the evil plan to begin with. This caused Minion to betray his boss and trap him in the virtual room he does his show on. An assistant turning out to be the real villain? Now that's rare. Both kids manage to arrive to the castle and are ready to save their parents. The robots are all prepared with the third brains installed. After separating, Juni confronts his former idol, but realizes he wasn't evil as Gordenko made him think. Just needed something for his show. Question: what's up with Minion and the third brains anyway? The OSS made them, but destroyed them because they were dangerous. There was one that Gregorio didn't destroy. As for Minion, he was a former agent fired for making the third brains dangerous in the first place. Minion wants revenge on Gregorio for causing his firing, and in retaliation, he uses Floop device to turn him into a Foogly. Juni manages to liberate Floop, reunites with Carmen, and find his parents. Lips arrive just in time along with Genko for the robot presentation. The Cortez managed to distract Minion and send him to the same device that he used on Gregorio. While his parents went to confront Lisp and Gordenko, Carmen and Juni fight the robot versions. After defeating the robot versions, they arrive along their parents to help them. Minion was there, completely deformed as shit. Floop enters the computers to avoid the robots from eliminating the family as Machete arrived at the last moment to save the family. He was late since Floop successfully reprogrammed the robots, defeating the villains. At the end, everyone got what they wanted. Gregorio and Machete reunited, Floop had what his show lacked, the robots became heroes, and the Carmen and Juni became spies. Good night, Polarbert. Tomorrow I'll tell you the second one. This is a nightmare. Do you know what they do when you drop the soap? Don't worry, your hyena ass is safe with me. Please tell me the story of the sequel. The president's daughter is visiting Troublemaker theme park hosted by Dinky Winks. The girl, whose name Alexandra, is interested in the third ride presented, the juggler. She manages to sneak into the top of the attraction and purposely trap herself in the height of the place. To save her, they call agents Carmen and Juni Cortez, who climb the attraction with Spider-Man-like gloves. However, they soon send two more spy kids named Agent Gary and Gertie Giggles. Hold on. Those are Donegan's kids. Yes, and Don was one of Floop's victims. It's a shame that they didn't know what a jerk he was until the sequel. Oh, I bet he may be one. And his kids may be worse. Due to having the latest gear, Gary gets the upper hand and both race to get on the top while Carmen tries to calm down the juggler with her new hacker skills. Alexandra wants her dad to save her despite the fact that he's the literal president and doesn't have time. Sadly, Gertie gets the upper hand of Carmen using the latest technology, and when Juni was trying to get into an agreement with Alexandra, Gary makes sure to avoid that by taking the device Alexandra took from her dad, and then proceed to frame her as the thief for stealing that important tech, not letting Juni explain her actions. But sucks for her. Hey, how are the things between the family? Well, the family's doing fine. The Cortez are going to the OSS party to select a new leader. Oh, and Judy has a pet robot named Ralph that lasted longer than Taskmaster in Thunderbolts. I see what you did there. A question. Do the Spy Kids from the OSS Junior are the same Spy Kid robots from the first movie? Weird that they forgot about that until the third one. At the party, you can see Carmen is definitely in love with Gary, and that Juni hates his guts more than us. The president announced that the new leader is Donegan. This clears someone Hackett to avoid saying Gregorio's name, and all the adults are poisoned by the weird bellboys at the party who attempt to steal the device that Alexandra took, which is called the Transmuker. I bet the kids spot them just like those kids at Thor, Love and Thunder. Only less cringier in my viewpoint. The Transmuker has the ability to make technology useless, and after the fight ends, Gary shows us that he has no shame in framing Juni from stealing the Transmuker, causing his firing from the OSS. Damn that kid. If it wasn't for this person, I will kick his ass. After his firing, Carmen and Juni go to the treehouse to find a way to hack Juni in and solve the motives behind the last attack, and I just can't get over the kids' full names. Spit it out. I wanna laugh. Carmen Elizabeth Juanita Echo Sky Brava Cortez and Juni Rocket Racer Rebelde Cortez. Oh shit, what is with Hispanic names being long as fuck? Hey, I'm Hispanic, and to be honest, anyone that calls their kids Echo Sky or Rocket Racer shouldn't have kids. Or at least that's what I think. Anyway, once they get back to the OSS with Juni, hack back in, with Gary and Gertie going in the opposite direction, and with the new clocks with many functions except hours by Machete, Carmen and Juni are on their quest to the island of Lost Dreams. Hey, and Floop? He's fine. His new Foogly and former villain of the first one, Minion, gives them information on Donegan, Giggle, that clearly indicates that he isn't a good person. The villain of the first film warning them of the second one. I'm loving this trilogy, Hyena. I really do. Due to a malfunction, the submarine stops working and they end up thrown to the island by a giant Loch Ness creature. Oh, and the Giggles end up in an island filled with Disney remakes. Disney remakes? That's what I said.
That is one big pile of shit.
Gregorio and Ingrid go to find their kids, but Ingrid's parents, also agents of the OSS, arrive to join the rescue. Meanwhile, Carmen and Juni realize every piece of technology in the island doesn't work. Gary and Gertie are rushing to catch Cortez, only to end up on the island in a similar way. Carmen and Juni fall into the volcano they went to investigate the weird anomalies of the island, and inside they find a scientist named Romero. Romero reveals how he made a miniature circus using genetics as well as making a hybrid amalgamation of miniature animals too. But then he accidentally made them big, and that's why he's trapped there, afraid of leaving the outside. And this is where he makes the most deep quote on a kid's movie.
Do you think God stays in heaven because he too lives in fear of what he's created?
Damn, they don't make movies like these anymore. Romero was responsible for the Transmooker, which was made to avoid others from arriving on the island. The Transmooker the president had was a prototype, and Romero had the real one on the island. Gary and Gertie arrive, and the Cortez bring them to the hideout. Despite exposing Donegan's true intentions, Gary justifies it with a dumb argument of trust. When the Giggles left the hideout, the Cortez go to find the Transmooker before Donegan or the Giggles. Juni decides to motivate Romero into trying to talk to his creations, important for later. And Alexandra finally receives the message that Juni tried to send her, which will be also important for later. Oh, and after the kids fall inside a hole to an underground temple, they attain the ability to talk telepathically for some reason. Are those kids metahumans? Or the island gave them powers? So I'm confused. I think they're metahumans since Juni can mimic voices accurately from the first movie. On their trip, the skeletons of the temple come to life and Juni and Gary have a Pokemon fight, or in this case, an animal amalgamation fight, while Carmen tries to convince Gertie that her dad isn't a good person. Carmen arrives to fight Gary and in one punch she wins. The OSS is arriving and Carmen and Juni finally arrive to the Transmooker. Unfortunately, Gary and Gertie bring their father who has Romero hostage. Despite throwing it away to one of the creatures, Gertie ends up exposing the nest location. With the technology now back in action, Carmen and Juni rush to find the Transmooker and Romero finally bonds with his creations. Quickly, Carmen and Juni try to contact their parents, only for them to finally arrive along the grandparents just in time to help them. As the OSS problem of corrupt agents extends to non-Uncle Felix and the Giggles, Gregorio and Donegan have a fistfight which ends in Donegan not calculating the machine after Gertie hacked it. Alexander the President arrives thanks to Judy's message and makes sure the Giggles pay for their crimes, but Juni decides to quit the OSS from everything that has happened. Good news. The lawyer is talking with the warden so she can give us our freedom today. Great. Well, tell me about the last film. Are you sure? The CGI is a little... Okay, fine. Time passes Juni's departure and he's doing his own thing. However, he is forced back into the SS to find his sister who was trapped inside a new hit video game called... Game Over, yeah! The video game manages to trap the consciousness of its players, and the creator, Toymaker, plans to brainwash its players to take over the world. Juni is sent by Francesca and his husband, Donegan, who was reduced from corrupt agent to a lab assistant. Juni is sent inside the game to beat the 5 levels of the game and goes on his quest to shut down the game and avoid Toymaker from escaping the game. Inside the poorly aged CGI world, Juni receives damage from falling down a sewer and loses a life. If he runs out of lives, he will die in the real world. After being sent back to the overworld, he meets up with some young beta testers. Alright, a trio. Just like me and my old buddies Walter and Wolfcock. They aren't really interesting and aren't willing to help Juni at all, and they trick Juni into sending him to the moon, causing him to lose another life. With all the struggle, the Giggles decide to send at least one member of the Cortez family to help him, and Juni chooses his grandfather. But he's in a wheelchair. He loves him, but he knows Toymaker from years ago. He's willing to capture him. He gets an upgrade that gives him an exoskeleton to walk around. Juni is sent to a Roacon, where in order to get to level 2, he has to fight a girl in a mellow suit to do so. He defeats her and arrives to the next level. The beta testers are not willing to help him since they think he is the guy from the game cover because he kinda resembles him, I guess. To prove their theory, they do a race and Juni arrives first, causing their belief to grow and finally make them cooperate. Grandfather finally gets to his location and joins them. The girl from the Robocon, whose name is Dimitra, also joins them too. I'm starting to think the third Spy Kids film was the weakest of the trilogy. I can't even summarize it rightly. but at least we got out of prison. That guy Murdoch has my respect for proving how the jury system was unfair to us. Glad we did this in the legal way. Although some guys didn't realize you're some female ninja. After passing a shortcut on the Programmer's Road, they arrived to level 3. Since they required to have one of the players be defeated in combat, Demetra decides to sacrifice herself in thanks for Juni giving her extra life before. At level 4, they finally find Carmen and she reveals what's the beef between the grandfather and the Toymaker.
The Toymaker's the guy who put Grandpa in the wheelchair. If Grandpa tries to take revenge, the Toymaker will break free.
After surfing in lava, they finally arrive to level 5 and the beta testers realize that Juni isn't the guy despite looking identical. And the real guy arrives, but just like Taskmaster, he's gone after a few seconds. Demetra's already there, and Carmen exposes that she isn't a real person, but a deceiver made to make the last level unbeatable. Carmen, Juni, Grandpa, and the beta testers escape from the game, while Demetra stayed to shut down the game. The movie isn't over yet, because despite shutting down the game, Grandpa sneakily liberates Toymaker. That old man's grudge is killing me. Yeah, and I wonder why is Ralph taking so long to arrive for us. Let me finish the story. The giant robot of Toymaker is too much to defeat, so in an Avengers Endgame way, they call the whole family, the Giggles, Floop, Minion, the Robot Spy Kids, Dinky Winks, and even Romero to take it down. That was the only good part of the third installment. Oh, and that the Cortez had the strength to punch a robot. I'm starting to think the Cortez are metahumans. Grandfather decides to confront Toymaker on his own by not fighting, but talking with him. Both realize that they cause harm to each other and revenge wasn't going to solve anything. Toymaker finally shuts down his plans, finished the story once and for all, until more terrible sequels came.
Hey you two Apex Predators, would you like a ride?
Polarbert, I'm glad you got out of prison. Lee, I'm glad you got out of that bunker.
Toons, my new upgraded stitch is almost done, and I have your new katana ready.
Great, I can't wait to try it.